Energy and energy efficiency are big topics in the UK as we head into 2011. Across the globe, we are all looking for ways to improve our lifestyle in relation to energy and save some money while we do so. The Energy Saving Trust is a non-profit organisation that provides free and impartial advice on how to stop wasting energy and start saving money.
I think people are making the link between energy efficiency and saving money. Energy prices are going up, so we've all seen our energy bills rising over the last few years. So people are becoming more aware that energy efficiency is a great way to save money.
The Energy Saving Trust is the leading organisation in the UK that helps homeowners save energy. By saving energy, you're saving money off your fuel bills and you're reducing your impact on the environment. So it's our job to make people aware that they can save energy and that they can save themselves money off their ever-increasing fuel bills. And having made them aware, it's up to us to tell them exactly what they can do in their home and answer any questions that they may have.
Since the Industrial Revolution, the world has been reliant on fossil fuels to power transport, heat buildings and advanced technology. The first steam-powered trains through to the newest airplanes have all relied on fossil fuels, non-renewable and polluting. In fact, around 85% of the world's primary energy consumption comes from fossil fuels. Natural processes such as photosynthesis or absorption by the oceans can cope with around 10 billion tonnes of carbon dioxide every year. We currently produce 21.3 billion. In 2009, world energy consumption decreased by 1.1%. That's the first time in 30 years that it had done so. It's a promising start, but there is so much more that can be done, and done easily. There are three main fossil fuels that are used for energy: oil, coal and gas. These fuels are controlled by energy companies and distributed nationwide through the national grid. However, some homes and businesses are unable to access any energy this way. Calagas provides a solution.
Calagas has been supplying energy to rural areas since 1935, when we first started supplying a low-carbon, efficient but portable energy supply. We are effectively gas for non-mains gas areas. Increasingly recently, most certainly over the past 10 or 15 years, using energy efficiently within the home, within the business, has become a great priority for the customers and for Calagas. So not only are we concentrating on supply of gas, we are increasingly involved in bringing new and effective and low-cost appliances to the marketplace. It's very important that people use energy efficiently. It is a scarce resource. There is the climate change issue, of course, and carbon dioxide emissions. It is going to be an increasingly expensive resource. A third of all emissions in this country come from the household, a third from business, a third from transport. So most certainly, if we can do things to reduce emissions within business, if people in the home can do things to reduce their emissions, we can, between us, make a huge difference to efficient energy usage, but also carbon dioxide emissions within this country. LPG is gas for non-mains gas areas. The thing about LPG propane is that it compresses very easily into a liquid and therefore is ideal for cylinders or tanks, which means you can take the energy to the customer. One of the weak areas of UK energy production is electricity. We have actually one of the most polluting electricity systems in the whole of Europe. That's because we're burning lots of coal, we're burning lots of gas, and we burn it in huge power stations such as Drax, you'll have seen as you drive up past Leeds, 4 huge cooling towers which are just dumping heat into the air. Using the fossil fuel, making electricity, dumping the heat, and that's about 60% of all the energy there, and then transferring that electric to the home. It makes eminent more sense to take the fossil fuel and use it in the home. So one of the technologies that Calagas have been heavily investing in is micro combined heat and power. This allows the customer to have, where the boiler would be, their own generation station. It's a bit like when computers first came in. We used to have the great big computer that we're all linked into, which is what the power stations are. Now we have a little laptop, our own personalised power on our desk. And in the same way we've got used to generating heat in our home, very soon we'll get used to generating heat and electricity in our home. And of course then, all the heat that is made by making electricity is used for you, for your hot water, for your home. And of course, that's a much lower carbon dioxide emitting solution and a much more efficient solution, a much better use of energy than using coal or gas in a power station and losing 60% of the heat, which of course you pay for. At the end of the day, you pay for electricity, what it's cost to generate from the fossil fuel it started from.
For the homes in the UK that are off the mains gas grid, if their home's being heated by electricity, oil or coal, that'll be producing more carbon dioxide than if it's heated by LPG gas.
Because for a long time in this country we have had access to North Sea gas. That's starting to reduce now, but we are still a very, very strong gas-driven market. Gas technology within Europe, most certainly within this country, is advancing rapidly. There are almost 3 steps to this. The first is the condensing boiler. This is a technology that's been around for a good 15, 20 years. What it does is it condenses the heat in the emissions coming out of the boiler and recovers that heat, which means that a condensing boiler is 85% or above efficient in use. Great step forward, and very few homes relative to the 22, 23 million homes in the UK actually have a condensing boiler yet, and yet they can make a big difference. The next step is when you start bringing in the micro combined heat and power side, when you have a heat-driven engine, a Stirling engine as this is called, combined with the boiler. So the heat from the boiler also drives a little engine that makes electricity, makes very efficient, low-carbon electricity within the home. This technology has just come onto the marketplace. Stirling engine boiler it's called, and it's available to the household now, and it just literally fits where your boiler is. You take your boiler down and you put this on, and you're generating both heat, which you're used to, and electricity. The next generation are fuel cells. Right now, even with the Stirling engine, it's still a boiler, it's burning things. A fuel cell is a chemical plant, and therefore fits just where your boiler would go in the same way, but it is using energy enormously efficiently. It generates 1 kilowatt of electricity to 1 kilowatt of heat. So even in the summer when you're just needing your hot water, it will generate a lot of electricity. Indeed, a fuel cell, by 2013, when the first one comes onto the market, will be able to generate 80% of the electric requirements within your house, which it's a game-changing technology that will change the way that we use fuel and have a relationship to fuel and heat within our own homes.
Once energy has reached the home in the form of electricity or gas, it is then distributed to appliances and systems that require it. It is at this micro level of energy consumption that small changes can make a big difference.
When buying goods and products and appliances for their homes, people are definitely more aware of their energy consumption. Because yeah, there's the upfront cost of whatever it is you're buying, but then you also need to consider the running costs, and people are more aware of it because electricity and gas prices are just going up and up and up.
On a household level, there are lots of technologies now for producing electricity or heat or both in the home.
There are lots of ways in which you can save energy around the home. Additionally, you can do simple things like switching off your lights and not leaving your equipment on standby.
The standard approach for the majority of buildings across the UK is for an energy supply to power all of the plug sockets in a home, whilst another energy supply powers the heating and hot water systems. Space heating, heating the air in our homes, is responsible for the highest domestic energy cost, and it's well known that cavity wall insulation is an effective and quick way of increasing the energy efficiency of a building. However, that's restricted to those buildings that have cavity walls. Climate Energy Solutions have developed a product that greatly improves space heating efficiency in solid wall buildings.
I'm the Managing Director of Climate Energy Holdings, and one of our portfolio companies is Climate Energy Solutions. It's a company that does loft and cavity wall insulation around the home counties of England, and we invested in September of last year in the Wall Reform product, and we have exclusive distribution for a solid wall product.
This is the next level of insulation. For years, I've been in this business for over 20 years, and I've done all the cavities and I've done the lofts. Don't get me wrong, there's still a lot of cavities and lofts out there to do, but the next generation of insulation is solid wall insulation, and we have some 7 million properties that need insulating for a solid wall, and I think we're just quite getting right at the forefront of it.
Difference between solid wall and cavity wall is obviously there's no cavity, and one of the things that we have come across now in increasing numbers are people asking advice on how they treat a solid wall property. And obviously one of the solutions that we can now offer them is the Wall Reform product. So we think this is a huge market, we think it's got great potential, and we think that there are many people who would love to reduce their energy bills, love to reduce their carbon footprint, and the solid wall product is a great way for a large number of people in the UK to be able to insulate their homes and start reducing their energy bill and their carbon footprint.
I'm the solid wall training manager. So basically we have companies send their guys through who want to learn about the system. So we train them up, get them accredited, send them out on site, and I go out and check to make sure they're okay and up to scratch.
Wall Reform is a series of components. There's a phenolic insulating board that's applied to the outside of the property, and then Wall Reform, which is an insulating plaster, is then placed on top of that, and then there's a coating which can either be coloured, or it can be made to look like brick, or it can be made to look pretty much exactly how the original outside of the house looked, providing you with fantastic insulation properties that will start to reduce your energy bills almost immediately.
It usually takes, say for a standard 3-bed semi, we're talking about between 4 to 5 days to install.
A team of people who are qualified and trained will come in, remove any external fittings such as satellite dishes, external cables that may be on the outside of the property.
First off with the system is we put a board to the wall which is mechanically fixed, and then we take it from there.
It's a very simple job, little or no disruption to the homeowner, who's left with a property looking pretty much exactly the same as it did before we arrived, with the benefit that they can start reducing their utility bills with almost immediate effect.
You can do so many different finishes with this now. There are a multitude of colours that we can use as a finish with the granule finish that we use, which is about 3 millimetres thick. But we could also replace it and make it look like a brick-built house again. There's brick slips that we can stick on like tiles, or there's a brick render, which we actually apply the render and then cut the bricks out of it, and it looks like a brand new house. So we could make a house look exactly as it was once we started. It'll just look a lot cleaner and a lot brighter.
EcoFlap, part of a whole letterbox system, is a draft stopper for your existing letterbox. Fitted on the inside of your door, it'll stop drafts but not your mail. Has no springs or brushes, in fact nothing to trap the mail. It uses gravity and any wind to keep shut, and won't blow open even in strong gales. The automatic adjustable opening enables up to a Yellow Pages directory and A4 in width to be delivered, plus retrofits a very small letterbox to just over the standard size. Stop sneaky letterbox drafts filtering through. These not only attack you, but also a nearby thermostat. This will kick your boiler into action and unnecessarily raise your house temperature, which you'll be paying for. EcoFlap will save you energy costs, fits easily, giving effective immediate benefit at no expense of changing your complete letterbox system.
If you're not on mains gas, you really should talk to those clever people at Cala. As well as burying your new fuel tank so it doesn't spoil the view, they'll give it a brain so it calls for its own top-up. Ah, here he comes. That way, you're free to just relax and enjoy the benefits of gas. Along with the knowledge you could soon even be generating your own electricity. It's more than LPG. It's LP Genius from Cala.
Climate Energy Solutions is a fully accredited company of qualified and experienced surveyors and installers for insulation products. The company was created to deliver loft and cavity wall insulation, and are now in a position to provide a whole range of insulation, including solid wall insulation, heating and energy generation solutions. With an exclusive distribution agreement with Wall Reform, they've taken the opportunity to open a training academy at their Braintree depot to demonstrate the ease of application of this product, as well as the amazing array of finishes available to owners of traditionally harder to treat properties. Wall Reform was developed initially to insulate the 7 million uninsulated solid wall properties, the majority of which are occupied by the fuel poor, those who pay more than 10% of their household income on fuel. Wall reform improves living conditions and associated health problems by eliminating cold and damp in homes.
If you're not on mains gas, you really should talk to those clever people at Cala. As well as burying your new fuel tank so it doesn't spoil the view, they'll give it a brain so it calls for its own top-up. Ah, here he comes. That way, you're free to just relax and enjoy the benefits of gas. Along with the knowledge you could soon even be generating your own electricity. It's more than LPG. It's LP Genius from Cala.
For over 150 years now, there has been a dramatic rise in domestic energy consumption, until the year 2001. However, since that time, we in the UK have seen a decrease in energy usage, due to increasingly efficient products and greater carbon footprint awareness. And in that time, natural gas use has increased fourfold and helped to reduce emissions. It is still a carbon-producing fossil fuel, but is much cleaner than oil or coal. It's used to create electricity in power plants and for cooking and heating in the home. However, it is still not being employed anywhere near as efficiently as it can be. A new concept from Cala Gas can help increase that efficiency.
Energy and efficient energy usage and responsible low carbon energy usage is hugely important for Cala Gas. It's equally important in the home. 30% of all emissions in this country come from the home. 30% from business, 30% from home, 30% from transport. So you can make a big difference in your own home. And actually, it's not all that hard. There's almost basic steps to it. First thing, look for drafts. The home can be actually quite warm, but if you get drafts coming in through the doors, through the windows, you feel cold and you tend to turn up the heating. So look for those drafts. They're easily excluded with draft excluders and so on. Secondly, one of the things that really works when you talk to heating consultants about giving advice into big hotels and big business, they say just put up notices on the wall saying switch things off. Even in business, how often do you switch off your computer or your photocopier? And these are enormous uses of energy. Within your own home, there's lights, there's TVs, there's radios, there's things that you have on standby. And just getting into that mentality of saying, we're in this room, are the lights outside this room that can be switched off? Are there things that are running perhaps on standby that we don't require that can be switched off? And that can actually make an enormous difference to the carbon dioxide emissions of a home. You combine that with the technology we've been talking about, such as micro-combined heat and power, and for a typical home, just doing those things, making sure you've got the right heating technology with the right home system. It's important that you have both. You can halve the amount of carbon dioxide that a typical house is putting out. It can have that much of an effect. So government is bringing in policies that are designed to help us use energy efficiently in our house and reduce our carbon dioxide. One of them is a smart meter policy you'll have seen an awful lot about, and increasingly will, that will allow you to be able to measure exactly the energy your house is using in terms of electricity. The other is the government is trying to incentivise and support low-carbon technologies. So with micro-CHP, for instance, micro-combined heat and power, you can actually get paid by the government to generate electricity in your house. So you actually get paid to generate it.
Micro-combined heat and power, or micro-CHP, that works just like a boiler in your home, but the heat that's generated when the boiler is heating your home is used to generate electricity. So you've got a mini power station in your house as well.
Micro-combined heat and power is a new technology that is just ever so logical. It is about the size of a boiler, and it replaces your current boiler. But instead of generating just heat, this is what you're used to, it generates heat and electricity. Electric you buy into your house is enormously inefficient. So to actually generate in your home the electricity in an established, safe technology becomes very, very sensible, because that electricity is not only half the price of what electricity is that you buy in, it's also considerably lower carbon, because what you're doing is making electricity but then using the heat in your home to heat your water, to heat your house. I think there is now a head of steam developing behind low carbon technology. You'll have seen starting to appear on roofs solar heat systems that take heat from the sun and put it into your hot water, particularly in the summer, you know, when all you're really requiring is hot water. Those have taken 10 or 12 years to get up to speed. We've got 120,000 gas-safe qualified installers out there, but they have to learn different techniques. But already we're now starting to see that technology rolled out. We're starting to see it on more and more houses. And the same thing has really happened on the heating and boiler side. You know, the condensing boiler came in. Now already, you know, boilers that can generate electricity coming onto the market. So I think that there was an understanding of the climate change issue. There was an understanding of the need to reduce carbon emissions and use energy more efficiently. And that understanding has now translated into technology that can deliver that. But I absolutely must stress that this all starts in the home. It starts from us all managing energy as responsibly as possible, insulating where possible, you know, putting on a jumper and turning down the heat a couple of degrees where possible, thinking about the technology that you're using. It's a bit like a car and a car engine. You might have the most efficient engine going, but unless you have the total car package that is delivering the efficiencies, the whole thing's not going to work. And that's the way you have to think. I can see low carbon, efficient use of energy being part of our lives going on into the future. I think that there is an understanding, and I think there is now technology, and I think that as we go forward, we'll be using energy and reducing carbon emissions very effectively within this country.
With fossil fuels being used quicker than they are being created, it is clear that we must explore a new path forward. Rising fuel costs and political instability around oil and gas supplies provide further encouragement to reduce our reliance on fossil fuels. From large-scale renewable energy plants to individual supplies and unique innovations that eliminate waste, there are a lot of options.
If you insulate a property, it'll come with a 20-year guarantee, and you've got 20 years worth of having invested in your property and also starting to reduce your energy bills, which I think most people would believe are going to be going upwards rather than downwards over the lifetime of the product and the property.
People go out and buy double glazed windows and they'll spend a mass amount of money on double glazing, and then they'll phone their friends and say, "Cool, you know, you want to see my new windows? They look great." Nobody ever phones up and says, "Do you want to come and see my cavity wall installation? It looks the bees." And then it's an investment. It's the finish that we put on the wall reform is going to make it that you don't have to paint your property for 20 years. So there's a maintenance issue there straight away, and you're insulating it, and you're going to get paid back. So you're actually saving money. Everything that gives you a payback is worth doing. You can call us direct on our free phone number. You can contact us on our website, and we'll send out a surveyor and we'll come and look at your property and give you a quote for the works.
There's been a number of things. Obviously, energy bills have risen. We had, just recently 9% rises from some of the major utility companies, and that's, beginning to really affect people and their disposable income. The Climate Energy Group has a long and very proud association with the Energy Saving Trust. We have the advice centres, which we operate on behalf of them for the whole of the east of England, London, both north of the river and south, and Kent, Surrey and Sussex. And that's all managed from one large advice centre in Croydon, and we take in the region of about 2,000 calls a week, helping people with saving energy, saving water and advice on transport. I think that if we take the mix of calls that we get coming into the Energy Saving Trust Advice Centre, probably 2/3 of the people are looking to try and reduce their energy costs, as opposed to being green and reducing carbon. But as I said before, the results are exactly the same. You reduce carbon and you reduce your utility bills at the same time. But I would say that the motivation for most people is saving money. The government has announced that they plan to run something called the Green Deal, starting in January of 2013. That legislation will go through Parliament next year, and then every homeowner will be given a grant or a loan in which to be able to do things to their property. And I think that at that point, with the publicity behind it, I think with everybody talking about it, I think that people are going to start to take much more personal responsibility for reducing their energy bill and obviously helping the country and helping the world to save carbon. I think I would advise anybody who wants to reduce their energy bills at home to call the Energy Saving Trust. There is a free phone number that puts you through to a local advice centre. That's the start of your journey to reduce money, reduce the carbon that your home emits. And there are some very simple things that you can do. Energy saving light bulbs should be used throughout the whole of the property. Make sure that you've got good draft proofing in place, and then start thinking about what else you can do to insulate your home. So why not put a hat on your house, insulate the loft, insulate your walls, and then start saving money and start reducing your carbon with immediate effect.
EU targets require member countries to have 30% of their energy from a renewable source by 2020. But for now, households can save money by thinking about those little details and embracing some of the big ideas that companies have developed to use energy more efficiently. The Energy Saving Trust is available for more in-depth guidance and information about how the UK is powered, and you should feel free to call their advice line to discuss your personal situation.
And you want to start looking at what more you can do for renewable energy. So my final tip for what you could be doing to help reduce your carbon impact and help you save money.
I would like to see every home in the UK being a low carbon home, so to reducing the amount of carbon emissions that it produces and also having as low energy bills as possible to make it easier for the householder.